Let's call this meeting to order, if we could, please. First order of business would be the minutes from the August 15th meeting and the August 24th special meeting.
Motion to approve both as presented.
Thank you, Sam. I have a motion by Sam Hudgens to approve. Is there a second? Second by Jerry Hahn. Any further discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? Motion will carry. Next would be your bills list and transfers. I think I answered some of the questions before the court meeting. Notice the siren for the Bloomfield, City of Bloomfield there, Jerry, that came in. That was on the grant, I believe, Joe.
Yeah. 50-50 match.
Was there a grant for it, Joe?
Sorry?
Was there a grant?
50-50 match.
50-50.
And we've got another one that we should be getting confirmation on is 100% under Homeland Security.
I thought that was 100%.
This was the extra surplus funds.
Oh, that's right, yeah. And notice that Tyler's new machine for the recreation fields came in?
Yes, it is. It came in on Thursday last week.
You operated it yet?
Yeah, it's already got an hour on it.
Is it working good?
It works great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
What was the, on the truck 414, $3,000?
Let me just say this, we have our two new mechanics are working,
Yeah,
and I'm
diligently.
signing a lot of POs for
Yeah.
parts and upgrades. And
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, a lot.
Is it left over?
A lot.
No.
A lot. We'll spend an additional $10,000 or $15,000 just doing small repairs that may need to be done. It don't take long.
They needed brakes.
Don't take it.
I mean, they were run down.
Entertain a motion to approve the bills, transfers.
I'll make the motion, pay the bills and
Thank you,
transfers
Barry.
as
Is
presented.
there a second? Second by Jeff. Any further discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? That motion will carry. Next would be our most important item today in my book, Sheriff's book too. He wants to print the tax bills, don't you, Sheriff? Would be the second reading of the tax ordinance. You guys are already approved, and we've advertised for second reading and adoption today. Entertain a motion to approve on second reading and adoption. Motion by Jerry Hahn. Is there a second? Second by Jeff Lear. Well, y'all a little jumpy this morning. Last court meeting, everybody was on the ball.
I don't like nothing about taxes.
All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? Motion will carry. Tax rates are the same, so there's nothing wrong with that though.
Yeah, that's good.
Most people are tickled at that. Next would be the bids on renovations at the fairgrounds for Samuel's Hall. John couldn't be here today. You guys have in your package a bid tabulation sheet where Cook Construction. Brad, what was that first alternative and second alternative? I can't remember.
First alternative was where we did a stone face halfway up the middle. You guys have seen that a lot on
On the
buildings.
bottom.
Yeah, okay.
We just did that to see what the bids would come in. It dresses it up a little bit. Alternate number 2 was having exposed wooden trusses on the front canopy that we're putting on. Again, it's more aesthetic than it is anything, just a looks type.
What keeps wasps and stuff like that from getting in what you're talking about there?
Nothing.
Nothing.
You.
Brad did.
Wasp spray?
I have spoke with Dave Cook this morning. He's very comfortable with his bid, he said. And he said he's ready to go and we're ready to go.
Guys, I actually would recommend to the court to do the alternate one.
Is it halfway up on everything you can see from the road?
It's just on the front.
On the front side.
Just on the front.
Just on the front.
Give it some character,
Yeah.
We've got a brand new grandstand out there we built a few years ago.
You come up 3.5 foot with stone. You guys have seen it. A lot of times,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
metal buildings have a two-tone color to it.
Yeah, yeah.
This time it's stone 3.5 feet up.
It's a stick on
And we
stone.
generally require this same type of treatment on our design review board ordinance. You guys remember our ordinance there so we're requiring that, so I would
You guys
almost
need to see it, or you
recommend.
know what I'm talking about, Jeff.
Yeah.
As long as we don't use the same stick on stone that somebody used on 31 either.
Understood.
Would you guys be okay with that?
Yes.
Entertain a motion to approve a bid to award a bid to Cook Construction Company with alternate one. I'll get that out in a minute. I shouldn't have had a weekend shift.
Elaine, you have this?
Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Second by Keith Metcalf. Any further discussion? All approved, say aye. Aye. Disapprove? Motion will carry. Thank you, Brad, for filling in there for John on that one.
He carried the load on this one.
Next would be a franchise agreement with Bluegrass Networks. In particular, I have today with me an attorney by the name of John Salent, John, and Brian Bell with Bluegrass.
Yes, sir.
And you guys are kind of, maybe Brian, this is more, you're the salesman here.
I don't have a sales title. I can certainly speak to it. though.
What's the purpose of coming through Nelson County with this, I guess, what do you call it, the hardware or whatever?
Yeah, more or less a fiber optic.
Fiber
cable.
optic.
Yeah, and that's what I say, and I appreciate the time. And
Imagine Lear in the cable TV, internet, not cable TV, but internet business, and he wants to accuse himself that way he does.
Sure.
Get in conversation.
yeah, so most notably, the purpose behind all this is the state of Kentucky has if you've heard, it's highly publicized, the Kentucky Wired, that they're attempting to build a fiber optic ring throughout the state of Kentucky and so forth. They've reached third-party agreements with our company, Bluegrass Network, East Kentucky Network, and Cincinnati Bell. So more or less of the 120 counties, Bluegrass Network has agreed to build out their fiber optic network in 21 of those counties, Nelson County of which is included in that. Bluegrass Network, based out of Elizabethtown, a subsidiary of Bluegrass Cellular, we are owned by 5 rural co-ops, Brandenburg Telephone Company, Duo County Telephone Company, North Central Telephone Company, South Central, and Logan Telephone Company. So we already have existing infrastructure, a lot of that in place. So the state, instead of kind of coming in and reinventing the wheel, they ask if we could come in and serve some of these areas. So our intent is to go in to build solely for that. The state's preference is for us to just place dark fiber, meaning no electronics on there, that the state comes in and does their own network in there. We're just giving them the infrastructure to do so, more or less. So
On your map, it looked like you were going to all the schools.
Actually, in the states, I glanced at that again this morning. The state had asked us to reach, I believe it was Bardstown Middle, and let me see the other here. It was Bardstown Middle and the Nelson County Board on Wildcat Lane. I think that's probably Nelson County High School there. But and again, the state has run into some challenges there. So I think the schools, what they consider the K through 12 schools there, have asked the state not to build into there at this point. They want to operate under their same agreements that they have in place today for data services. So the state has asked Bluegrass to build to that last polar pedestal at the school, leave that cable there for future entrance into the building. So right now, our primary scope of work is to build these dark fibers that the state requests us to build. I think there's about 6 or 7 locations within Nelson County, some of which are the library. I think it was the clerk's office. There was I think the other one was, let's see, the Lincoln Trail District Health Department, child-based services. So there's
Basically state or...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're all government.
You say the word dark fibers. That just means it's there, but it's not lead or it's not...
That's exactly right. So in this case, the state's proposing to build a 288 count fiber, meaning there's 288 strands of glass in there, is what they're proposing to build all around the state. So in most instances, like the library, I'll use an example, they may want 4 strands of fiber for us in there. So all we do is place that fiber in there. It might go to a patch panel somewhere, and then the state will come in and place their own electronics in there. And it's I'm not sure how much of it you've read, but it's a public-private partnership. So out of Frankfurt is where they're running it, but they have some private entities that are involved in this as well. So, more or less, they had a high cost per mile, and they looked at the local companies who might be able to come there or have existing infrastructure that could place that, kind of expedite the process and be both economical and more efficient than what they have today. So that's what we're looking to do.
We have a lot of curiosity because in Nelson County, we have probably internet in many more homes and businesses than a lot of other counties, especially in rural Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we thought maybe we'll run this through our counties, it'll waste the tax, it'll waste the money.
Yeah, I mean, in our opinion, like I said, and actually I can let John speak to at least some from a fees or franchise perspective there, but at least in terms of Bluegrass's perspective, a lot of times we put them in to put fiber optic cables in to better serve our cell sites, maybe give more coverage there. So our intent, at least thus far, has never been to be a rural broadband service provider. Our partner companies do that. They are internet cable TV providers. Bluegrass per se is just helping the state out in terms of trying to get that infrastructure in place, feed some of our cell sites, and then we will build some excess capacity in there, because quite frankly, the expense is not necessarily in the cable size, it's more in the construction, trying to do that. So our intent is to continue to serve along those routes that the state has asked for, and then build to our sites and build some additional capacity.
As Brian said, the whole purpose of this franchise agreement is to enable us to fulfill our obligations to what's come to be known as Kentucky Wired, which is a statewide project. State on one hand, Macquarie Capital on the other hand, to build the necessary fiber optic infrastructure to all of the state's, schools, courthouses. By that I mean both where adjudication occurs and like here, to enable all of those companies to have, all of those public entities, those schools, those courthouses, to have access.
Direct links, direct. Where, like for the court here, if Frankfurt wants to relate to the county clerk's office directly.
Exactly.
Without a middle person involved.
Exactly. It's their.
It's almost like a link together.
Yeah, it's their
It
network.
won't have if it's their network, it won't have a third-party company involved.
Exactly.
You're not particularly going for the
Household.
residential model.
Oh, no, this is exclusively, almost exclusively, to serve public government buildings and facilities, both city, county, and state, almost
We've already got
exclusively.
some of that through your system, through your.
Yes. Yes.
County clerk to Frankfurt already. You've
right.
got some direct telephone lines that you're using, that this will give it an upgrade.
So,
And we,
And the way I understand it,
yes.
the public-private, you said, who's that? What's their name?
Macquarie Capital, I don't know much about them. We don't
So
represent.
they coming in and they want to get all the cream, it sounds like, in Nelson County just to do the government agencies because they know they'll pay. I don't know.
They've already got-
How's it going to benefit Nelson County?
Well, what it's going to do for Nelson County is this. Macquarie, all we're doing, we are a subcontractor to the Kentucky Wire project. The Kentucky Wire project, as I said, is a public-private partnership. The principal partner is Macquarie Capital. I don't know a lot about them, but the sole purpose of Kentucky Wire is not to come in here and to compete with your present internet providers or cable providers or telephony providers. It is to provide facilities, the dark fiber to city, county, and state facilities, buildings, so that there will be a complete connection around the state. All 120 counties will be, all of their public facilities, their government-owned buildings, government-operated buildings, state, city, county, will be connected by this infrastructure. So it would be possible, for example, as I understand it, to attend a hearing in Frankfurt, let's say a workers' comp hearing that may take place in Frankfurt. You'd be able to come into the courthouse here, and you won't have to travel there to attend a hearing, or an oral argument, the Kentucky Court of Appeals, or to attend a session of the General Assembly.
And
It's.
you guys, on a smaller note, I'm
That's right,
interrupting here, but
please.
Right now, Dorcas at the jail, we can take from the state building operated there and have video arraignment at your jail, because we had a dedicated line for that. Remember that? So this is the same type of thing. They're dedicated lines
Right.
for those governmental purposes. I have no problem with it.
We are not coming in here to skim the cream. We're not-
Well, you see what I'm saying? Anytime you come in and you just pick out the taxpayers' places that pay it, I mean, I'm like,
This won't be retail.
public,
Yeah,
private.
this is, and you're both actually right. What you hit on there, a lot of the older infrastructure, maybe copper, low-speed type connections where fiber is much higher. And then you also mentioned, is it the intent to serve residential? Ours, like John said, is more of a subcontractor. So the state was going to come do that themselves, and they look at it as a savings. So they own and operate their own network as opposed to paying maybe an AT&T or someone like that. The state would own their own network and not have to pay out monthly to another subcontractor, another provider if they're serving it themselves.
So those dark lines are state-owned?
Absolutely, yeah, at least, and here's what their agreement or their arrangement is with us, and they've got a website, KentuckyWired.gov, I believe is what it's on there, so you can see a lot more about it. But when they reached out to us and said, hey, you already have cell sites or a lot of fiber in place in some of these counties, they said, can you build that for the purpose of them? So they may give us a specific amount of fibers that they want to serve all these government entities. And it goes back to what I was saying. I may, because the cost is not that much different, if they only need 48 fibers, I may go ahead and place a 288 count fiber because I may have a cell site down 62 going towards Boston or somewhere there that we would want to serve along the way.
Okay, so the question is the excess. So you put in on 200 and they're taking 50. You got 150 left over. Do you have the rights to those 150? Who has right to 150?
Yeah, Bluegrass Network would have
So what would keep you from selling those 150 to Dean Watts Incorporated and he starts a new business here in town? Can you sell your excess to a private individual or a private company? That's the true question, I think.
Only with a new franchise agreement.
Right.
Correct. So, but the answer is yes, they can sell
Yes.
this. Okay.
Only
That's
with
the way I
the,
see it.
I
Okay.
think it's correct only with new franchise agreement. It may be that with this franchise agreement, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if this is part of the business plan or not, if we were to pass, as a consequence of what we're building for the state, if there's, let's say we pass a business, we might provide, or a residence, we might provide service to that business or residence if, as a consequence of fulfilling our obligations to the state, our fiber runs past that business and they want our service. I think that's correct.
Yeah, it is. I can tell there's no intent right now. Bluegrass Network's never been a residential broadband provider.
First of all, if they're going down the main artery, they're not going on the off. Correct. They're not going to go there.
So you all, Bluegrass is gonna make profit off it.
But if we do, we will have to pay you a franchise fee. Well, I should say that's a little more complicated now. The only reason it's complicated, as you know, the Kentucky Supreme Court recently, before we sent you this agreement, but I think this agreement contemplates the decision reached by the Kentucky Supreme Court. At one time, the state said, no, you don't get to charge a franchise fee for the use of your public rights-of-way. Instead, you're going to participate in a central tax fund. Well,
You got shafted on that deal.
yeah. Well, the Supreme Court said, no, you don't get to take away the right of cities and counties to charge a franchise fee for use of public rights-of-way, as I understand it. So now you have the option of participating in the central fund, of charging your own fee. If we were to serve a business or residence that we happen to pass as a consequence of installing the cable that the state requires, then that would trigger gross revenues that we receive from the county, from a county resident, a business. And we would have to pay under this agreement. If you elected not to participate in the central fund, but to charge your own franchise fee, we would have to, under this agreement, pay you the gross receipts that we derive from Nelson County. But I do want to emphasize, our purpose in doing this is not to come in here and provide.
And it's stated in that.
Yeah,
Right.
but you're gonna put a bigger line in than what's provided, so in your future, y'all got that in your mind, why would you put a bigger line? It's about like a gas line. If you could get it in a 16-inch line, why you want to build a 3-foot line?
Because it's so much cheaper because.
But in your future, you all are planning on profit.
Something may
How
happen.
did y'all get selected to be this public-private, not AT&T or not?
Oh, no, yeah, no, we definitely were not selected to be the public-private entity. We're a third-party agreement, just like East Kentucky Network and Cincinnati Bell. All we are is a supplement to that. So, and one other thing to that point, the excess capacity, the state told us that they have the ability to come in and do change orders along the way. So if there's a government building, a new government building that comes up or a move, we need to allow them the opportunity to have excess fibers. Because if we build just the bare bones minimum and someone moves a government office down the street, then that one's kind of dead into the ground.
Suppose you done sold the 150 you had extra in this line, you said, well, the government's gonna take 50. You done sold the 150 to somebody else, then how are you gonna provide for a new building?
Yeah, it's under our agreement that we have to serve them should they come back under the same terms and conditions that we signed the initial agreement
Most
on.
of this going on city and county right away?
A lot of ours, I know we've applied on state right away. This was,
Most of what I saw on your map, in fact, was a state or federal road.
right. And a lot of it, we already,
On the Boston.
They got a little bit on ours. I've got one too. It's a small amount.
Okay, let's say for instance, guys, that we have, right now we've got the city of Barstown in the internet business, we've got Jeff's in the internet business, you got
AT&T.
You got AT&T. We've got basically another company wishing to come in and do a similar thing. Don't you think the more people that provide that service to a degree, the more, if it were to get to that point, and that's not their goal,
That's what competition is
the
all about.
competitions would be advantageous to your constituents.
Yeah, but they're
To a
just
point.
coming in and getting taxpayers building is their number one.
Well, they've already got this. Lane's already got direct access to Franklin right now to a telephone line.
Why do we need another
Do
one?
y'all,
Because it's faster and.
did you not install a line 2 or 3 years ago around the Bluegrass out to New Haven Road? Am I correct on that?
Yeah, and as I said, we already exist in a lot of these places.
Yeah.
Because we built to serve our cell sites and to tie Bluegrass Cellular and Bluegrass Networks ring together. So we already, a lot of these that were coming down 62 and so forth, we already are on poles there, whether it's an AT&T pole route, we're already there today, but we didn't have sufficient capacity to be able to serve the state. So, and again, these are state, I know you mentioned the government offices there, and these are the ones that the state selected that they want. So we won't make any kind of monthly recurring number on that. They had probably a high cost per mile to build to that, and they felt like we could do it a little cheaper. So they contracted with us to build that at a cheaper rate to save the Commonwealth a little bit of upfront cost on this.
So
So
there again, it's just to go back to the pipeline. Y'all done the digging, the holes open, there's room for extra, so y'all put an extra on.
Absolutely. And we do that, I think we do that everywhere.
everywhere, yeah, we just gotten burned by it a lot. I'll use Bowling Green as an example. It's turned into concrete jungle, and back in the day, everybody said, put 12 fiber strands in there, it's all you'll ever need. And then, we have to come back and open up pavement and do all this and that. Yeah, so it's one of those things to where, you learn that if something's 30 cents a foot and it costs 70 cents a foot to go ahead and double the capacity, that's a whole lot cheaper than spending the tens of thousands per mile to open up ground or do make ready on poles, those kind of
I mean,
things.
that's in our interest, but it's also in the locality's interest, because the last thing you want is us going in every 5 years or excuse me. Sorry. Or
Okay. We would probably said it too.
But way the demand for is growing to go in every year and cut open that road. So we just put in, and we do it everywhere. It's just what the company does. It puts it all
Why
in.
do we need a public-private partner?
Well, the state made that determination.
You guys remember going to Judge's Conference, Magistrate's Conference 4 years ago?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And started talking
But
about
it
the
didn't go on
wire.
very good.
What?
I'm talking about the private partner thing. I mean, most of the meetings I went to.
Well, Eastern Kentucky is where they started. And they
Yes.
came this way. There were very few providers. Very few, the dark wires, there was very few of those in Eastern Kentucky.
And I think that was the vision of the former administration to get fiber in the entire eastern part of the state.
All over the state.
Yeah,
Every
throughout
county. Every county.
Throughout it.
We weren't part of that. I mean, that was done by the previous administration and by the public partner, Macquarie, and they entered into an agreement, and then they realized, as Brian said, they could do it cheaper if they got local people like us. We know the cities and counties, we're out there doing business, not this kind of business, but other kinds of business, and we install the cable. So they're using companies like this, local companies all over the state to do the building. But we weren't involved in the decision with the previous administration.
Yeah, that's what I want to make sure of. When we say public-private, we're not a part of any of that, because I've been at those meetings where you're talking about, and it doesn't go over well at all. They think there's a third-party financier that's coming in here, and so
The only reason they're coming in is a game.
I'm sorry, what was
I
it?
said, the only reason they're coming in because there's a game. They see.
You would think so. Yeah,
They
you
must
would
see that.
Yeah, you would think
Well, how
so.
did Macquarie get picked?
Yeah, that I don't know, because you raised the point earlier. You said, why wouldn't AT&T or someone like that get picked? 'Cause
Yeah, somebody already said
we were involved in that. I think Governor Brashear's administration back a long time ago, as you referenced, that was something that they did a long time ago to serve that SOAR project in eastern Kentucky, those type things. But our role, like I said, John says, just specifically a subcontractor. They reached out to us because they said, we feel like you can build it cheaper than we can.
Yeah, but y'all
We said,
could gain into, or you would be.
yeah, and well, obviously, it's part of business there, like I said.
understand that.
Yeah, I mean,
But you're using private ways to get it to you, and you're bringing on this government thing that everything's gonna be done for the government, but y'all can split off of it too.
They give us a option to serve as maintenance, and our guys feel like they already maintain these routes anyway, because I've got some cable in there. If we can go be a maintenance contractor, be a local maintenance contractor, as opposed to, someone out of state that they've come in and.
I hope they're local or regional.
So it's, yeah, go ahead.
What's your take on it, Matt?
I'll have a vote. I had a couple of just logistical questions, because it does ask about, the county has adopted an ordinance which awarded the non-exclusive franchise. That's on paragraph 3, second whereas. I'm not aware that we've already adopted an ordinance. I don't know if we need to do that or not.
You haven't. This,
1990, probably 89, maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
back in high school.
I'm just thinking.
yeah. Well, what we would ask you to do is if you're willing to allow us to move forward with this, because we think that in order to occupy the rights-of-way of the county, we need your permission and we need a franchise agreement.
Well, rights of way typically there will be existing poles or underground.
That's
I have a
right.
request in right now that I've set on until y'all had this meeting.
But there's gonna be some other places too.
Say, I don't.
I said there's gonna be some other places that y'all might wanna go to.
Possible. Petersburg Road's one, Bernard, Ice Loop. They need permission to be in right of way, and what they're doing is fine. I just haven't granted it through an encroachment permit process.
Yeah,
till
does
you
that
guys
need to
have
be
this.
under ordinance though? It's right here.
I don't know, I've not seen that.
Yeah, our experience has been, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no.
Our experience has been that the way cities and counties do this is they create a franchise under the Constitution, 164, I believe it is, or 63, under the Kentucky Constitution. You have the exclusive right to control the use of your county right-of-ways, and the way you can do that, the way you have to do it, is by publicly bidding, or by publicly advertising for a bid. Well, first you create the franchise, then you advertise for bids to sign this franchise agreement. We then come in, we would submit this franchise agreement to you, signed, along with our technical, managerial, and financial qualifications to fulfill our obligations to you under this franchise agreement. And then you would award or not award the franchise, depending upon whether or not you thought it in the public interest. We think in this instance, it would be in the public interest. As I said, we are simply...
There's we, McQuarrie, and you all.
No, we...
Just a finance guy.
Yeah, we've never met Macquarie. They're the, like I said, the private partnership.
They're on the website, it says they're the long-term financing, or long-term
So
financing.
any negotiations we have is with the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We've never had any.
Yeah, we're owned by 5 Kentucky-owned and operated telephone cooperatives, who are also the same telephone cooperatives who own Bluegrass Cellular. Actually, I should say there's one investor-owned, that's Brandenburg Telephone Company. The other 4 are Kentucky co-ops, the South Central Rural Telephone Company Cooperative, the North Central, which serves largely Tennessee, but does serve a small part of Kentucky, Dual County Telephone Cooperative, and Logan Telephone Cooperative. And those companies have owned and operated Bluegrass Cellular. Bluegrass Network is owned by those same companies, those same local Kentucky companies that own Bluegrass Cellular. Bluegrass Network, if you will, is kind of what I think of as the infrastructure arm of Bluegrass Cellular. It builds the facilities that Bluegrass Cellular needs to provide its wireless service. I don't mean to get too involved, but wireless service is really only wireless usually for the first 5 miles of the call, and maybe if you're calling a wireless number, the last 5. All the rest of it in between is carried on these fibers. So that's how we get experience in installing a fiber optic network. And so the state, which really wasn't Macquarie, it was really, I think, the state that came to us and said, can you help us implement this Kentucky wired system to connect all of the cities and counties and state buildings around, all 100 Kentucky counties. And we said we would. And the ones they've identified for us in Nelson County, for which we may have to occupy the public rights-of-way, are the schools and other facilities that Brian has identified. And that's the reason we're here today, is to say, will you let us fulfill our obligations under the Kentucky Wired program? We will install, as Brian said, more cable, more fiber than is required, because the growth of fiber is exponential. You know, you think you only, when we first started doing this, you think you only need 10 strands. Well, turns out you need 1,000 strands. That's just how fast it's growing. So as long as we're digging up the roads to begin with, or, I mean, that sounds worse than it is. We use a slicer, but still, you know, we'd rather just put it all in at one time. And our purpose in doing that is because, as I said, the growth is exponential in the use of these fibers. We may need it for the public buildings we serve in the county. We may need it because if we pass businesses that need our services, we may serve them, in which case we will pay you a franchise fee. So
Who's going to determine that? Who's going to police it? How does our engineer know that you hooked up to such and such, or you may have hooked up to it and we didn't know nothing about it? Who's going to police it?
Well, we've never...
Just to be honest, to tell us about it?
We've never engaged in anything but above-board business practices, I can assure you. I would, yes. This document provides you with the right to audit us, should we begin to do that, so that you can determine that the franchise fee that we're paying on our receipts, our gross receipts from Nelson County are accurate. But, you know, there's really no way to keep that secret. You start providing service to a business in this town, and it's not one of the other entities that are already here, they're going to know about it, because they're going to say, how are they getting, you know what I mean? How are they getting service? So we will be honest, but that honesty is, number one, it's motivated by, number one, it's the right thing to do, but also, number two, our competitors are going to know who's serving those businesses.
John, shouldn't there be an ordinance provided, an ordinance allowing, or at least an ad?
Yes.
Providing that we're going to open up our county for other franchise
Yes.
agreement.
Yes.
Shouldn't that come first?
We can draft those ordinances for you if you like.
Shouldn't that come first before
Yes.
the agreement?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it has to. What the process would be, you all advertise that you're going to create do your normal advertising for what you're going to do for an ordinance or a resolution as the county, and then you'd have the first and second readings of it, and then once that's done, you would then advertise for bids, and then...
So really, that, county by county, that should have been done first before we got this franchise agreement.
Well, we thought we'd send this to you so that you would understand, this is the guts.
This is a learning lesson.
Yeah.
The counties don't do this every day.
No, they don't.
How many counties have you had resistance to? How many counties are you going through?
Bluegrass Network, without partner presence, so has he mentioned the Brandenburgs, the Duos of the world? Yeah, they already operate in those, so there's just 3 that Bluegrass Network has, fiber optic cable in, Nelson, Marion, and Washington. So those are the ones that we've sent this same to, that we already have a presence, and we're just, seeking the...
So is that the only 3 the state needs to go through too, or are they going through?
No, all through all 120.
Yeah.
McCord, private partner, is going to be involved in 120.
They're just an investment.
I know.
Dean, on a technical side point, just from my stance, I would still want them to come through and get an encroachment permit process. I don't want this to say they've got free right to get in county right away without coming through me. And the reason being, prime example, Petersburg Road, Burner knows this, they wanted to go in a particular direction. We got some drainage issues down there, and it was real easy. I worked right with the guy, but we changed it within an hour. It was good, but if I wasn't involved in that process, we would have had an issue.
Yep.
Just things that I know that these guys may not come apart.
You're the county engineer.
Correct, which will be taken through the encroachment permit process,
But
if it's included in that.
You're the county engineer.
Correct.
Yeah. We work with the county engineers. This agreement does not allow us to otherwise do anything.
It says it in there.
Yeah,
Right.
we have
And they
to-
have, I will say that, they have worked really easily with me on that. but-
But we need an ordinance first. I think we need to do an ordinance first, where we've got to go through the first reading, second reading, allowing for a franchise,
Right.
a new franchise to happen.
And we just sent this because this is the guts of it.
Well, Bert, your representative, Bert May, didn't,
Yes.
we didn't get into those details.
Right. But we can send you those.
I'm surprised other counties haven't started asking these questions.
Well, you all are on the ball. I should say this more than the other counties, but we're going to be doing the same thing. with the other counties.
We're first.
We got hard heads over here, Joe, that ask good questions.
One other real.
In a good way, in a good way.
A technical question, 3D, it talks about the franchise fee that I thought is probably worded, what you were talking about, to anticipate the Supreme Court decision. Is that the reason it's
Yes.
the way it is? Okay.
Because this was drafted before we knew what the Supreme Court was going to decide.
Do you anticipate any change to 3D as a result of that decision?
I don't think so. Our view is that then you tell us what you want to do. You know, if we occupy the public rights of way to serve a private business, for example, then you tell us, do you want to go to the state central fund and get your franchise fee, or the substitute for it, or do you want us to pay it? This allows for that.
Do you need more time, Matthew?
Well, I don't think he seeks.
He's not seeking any.
He doesn't seek.
We don't have to take a vote on that. No ordinance, no nothing
I
today.
guess my question would be is, in a particular case like where Jeff is a private entity that operates
He might
cable.
He might own the query.
He may, but
Stock in it.
does he have the right to use your cable? How would that work? Are you in direct competition with him as an individual? How does, I don't know how that
I don't
works.
view us as in competition with anyone, generally speaking.
Okay.
And the reason I don't is we are primarily going to serve the city and county.
But you're taking that away from somebody, like Sam said, you're taking it away from some company.
We're taking it away from whomever might want to have served those buildings.
Yeah, from
But that's not our decision, that's the state's decision.
Yeah, that's what's, because I know, I didn't want to make any mistake. You mentioned McCreary.
She's already got direct
It's
lines.
state.
Yeah.
We've had that for years.
Yeah, and that's what I said, I didn't want to,
Direct.
Yeah, but that's not private partnership on hers.
No.
Hers is the state, hers is taxpayers.
who they, yeah, and
AT&T.
yeah, and that's what I said, I don't want to leave with any misunderstanding that the McQuarrie stuff, they would probably prefer it's not us. They are the true private entity. The state government asked us to serve as a partnership with them, so ours is not a private endeavor. We're building it for them for a one-time lump sum cost, and they operate their own network. So where she's got the lines today, that's probably the state using AT&T to provide that infrastructure. We're giving them the ability to serve it
We're using
themselves.
the health department already in Elizabeth, down our district office, where we can have a video up here. And we
Yeah.
can direct, that person sitting in another room in Frankfurt, we're here, and we're doing direct training.
Right,
already.
and then that same link control office in E-Town, the same way, they were going to serve it themselves, but they used our partner down there, Brandenburg Telephone, who's a CLEC down there to operate. So it's, like I said, make no mistake, McQuarrie would probably have preferred that we didn't come in. The state saw it as a cost savings measure and said, can we find some of the local rural companies, like an East Kentucky network or a Bluegrass network, that already serve it, or maybe we don't have to go reinvent the wheel. So I just didn't want to leave it with any misunderstanding that we're a private entity looking to.
No, you are not, but I know somebody's partnered with the state to contract you all, and, I mean, why wouldn't you want to jump on board? I would love to be on something like that. Any one of us would probably. Water line, internet, anything.
Right, yeah, and it's, I think a lot of it's the incredibly high cost to be there. So the McQuarrie Capital, it could have cost them $60,000, $70,000 a mile, and the state felt like, if we're already there, we're already on those poles along.
Y'all might be able to do it for 50, yeah. I understand it.
And also, I mean, yeah, we might like to serve the entire state, but our capital resources are not such that we can do that. I mean, we can do this project because we're going to be paid
This
for
total
it.
project statewide is way over budget.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it's like $200 million, I think, or 300.
And I went to their board meeting in Frankfurt, and they announced that by signing with us, we've saved them millions of dollars, but yet they can't seem to get off the ground, trying to do all the pole make-ready work and all that kind of stuff. And like you mentioned, Eastern Kentucky, very difficult to build in, so they have their struggles, that's for sure.
We'll get, Matthew and I will get with you guys, and we'll come up with the county attorney.
Okay.
And we'll get with you on an ordinance to be reviewed. If you guys got any other questions, feel free to ask right there. To me, I see this as no difference than some private guy wanting a new franchise agreement in our county to provide internet service. I don't see, I think it's healthy for the county, actually, to a point. City may not agree
I
with
guess
that.
my question is, we don't have an internet agreement with you guys now, and you have a presence here. I don't think we have a franchise agreement
With Bluegrass?
with Bluegrass now, do we? I know we
I didn't
did
go
with-
back, I've been,
It's in Bardstown. I don't think we had one.
City bars. yeah.
City of
Yeah,
Martin.
but not in the county. I didn't think so.
And the reason we don't is, we don't occupy presently any rights of way.
They got cell towers, but they don't
Yeah.
have a, you know. And you got fiber there, remember the big fiber ran through the programs a couple of years ago? Those are just upgrades.
Yeah, but
You went through the highway,
y'all went out through
Yeah.
the industrial park, but that is city.
Right.
Okay.
May we pass out our card just so?
Yes, please, John. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't get you back on questions.
Those are interesting questions. Actually,
Appreciate it.
maybe for like I was
For being most understanding, because I've been to a lot of those meetings and everybody, you know, thinks this is a whole deal.
What other county are you going to next?
Well, it's a Bluegrass, specifically, I chose Nelson, Marion, Washington, because those are the only areas that our partners didn't have a presence in. So I think John's group's already sent to Marion and Washington, you know, and I didn't want there being a misunderstanding, because it's, you know, a lot of people think we're there to serve rural broadband.
I didn't take it that way.
Yeah, we'll serve it.
But it doesn't mean, I also realized that I knew that you could if you wanted to with the amount of fiber you're putting in.
Right.
And I don't see that as a disadvantage myself.
Yeah, that, and for our cellular business, it's like those towers, you can't get enough coverage, and people keep using the data like crazy, and you gotta continue to build more.
There's gonna be a
towers.
point,
Bigger lines.
data is gonna be needed.
That's right.
No, not today,
Yeah.
but it could be, not today.
And there, you know, there's a lot of projects that require, like the FirstNet project, where they're trying to get the first responders, those kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just continuing to have a
Yeah,
band.
or it's never ending to,
Yeah, that's right.
whatever you're putting in is gonna be outdated and.
Will there be more need for it? Yeah, you know.
Thank you, fellas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate you answering the questions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
I just want you two guys to know you've held the fiscal court at bay for the longest in the last 10 years on one subject matter.
I'm sorry.
That's good. That's not a bad thing.
We're sorry about that.
No, you're not. You don't have to be sorry about that.
Thank you all for your time. Thank you, Judge.
Good question, guys. That's about the truth, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it needs
Be discussed.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's still-
I kind of understand.
Beating something.
I don't have a problem with it.
I just know that they're in to make money, and I understand that. I don't like the public-private thing, coming in and taking the cream off of it. No, I don't. There's not a whole lot of public-private. They just, like you said, 4 or 5 years ago, came in with that, right? Or 3 years ago. Public-private.
They've been doing going on for years. But on other subjects. We won't argue that point. Board appointments. Can we move on? One thing about next time we have a holiday, I don't think I want to schedule a regular meeting after a holiday.
You get a lot of frustration built up during the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
When you're sitting there reading it at home,
And I think it's kind of like the neighbor with the dog problem next door. It's more than just a dog problem. Board appointments first in Magistrate 2's district. We'd like to appoint Pat Swartz to the Nelson County Planning Commission.
And that's just to fill the unexpired
Unexpired
term,
term,
which is about 2 years, correct? Yes. Okay.
Motion,
I'll make a motion to approve Pat.
thank you. Is there a second to Sam's motion? Second by Jeff. All approved, say aye. Disapprove? Motion carried. Next would be to the Nelson County Planning, the Commission of Human Rights. I'll get that. Paula Pace had served on the Human Rights Commission previously and entertained a motion to approve Paula's appointment.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Bernard. There's a second by Jerry. Any further discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? Motion will carry. Next would be to the Nelson County Board of Adjustments, Tan. This would be Magistrate number 3's district. Teresa Johnson has agreed to serve, and she said she has some time to do the required training, so I think Teresa will be a good member. Bernard, entertain a motion to approve Teresa's appointment.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Bernard.
Second.
Second by Sam. Any further discussion?
One question, is this filling a term or a new term?
This is a new term.
Filling term.
Filling.
term. Mr. Parker.
Mr. Parker.
He's 90-some years old, got off the board.
So it's about the same thing, same.
Mr. Parker's been amazing.
Good
I
fellow.
like it.
All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove, motion will carry. We just didn't point on it. We asked quite a few people and turned down some people in our minds. EMS report.
Numbers for August, 660 calls were made in August, 126 those were non-transport. Ironically, the same number of non-transport last year, so I don't know how that works. Extremely busy, we're at 21 calls a day. On your report, I also submitted the current status of our vehicles, their year and the current mileage on those vehicles. With all the runs that we're making, we're really stacking up the mileage. A couple of weeks, I'll be at an EMS conference and trade show, and I'll have my shopping bag with me, so I'll be looking for some trucks and getting some numbers together to submit to court. That be my report.
Thank you, Joe. Jail report, and on jail report, I want first, before we get into your details there, you had presented to the court, last court meeting, Nelson County jail policy on tasers that you had proposed, and basically this was a policy that you had gotten from the Hardin County folks there in the jail there in Hardin County, right?
The training officers have been.
Okay. And you have how many people trained on it already?
Right now I have 4, and then I've talked to the sheriff's department, they're going to train more.
Entertain a motion to approve this use of taser policy.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Sam. Second by Bernard Ice. Any further discussion? All approved, say aye. Aye. Disapprove? Motion carries.
The 4 people that you had, Dorcas, are they day shift, night shift, a combination of the two?
Combination.
Good.
It's, I've got day shift, second shift, and third off for somebody on the
Good, very good, thank
Can I
you.
ask a question? Yeah. Is there any repercussion to this? Has any other counties had negative to it? Seems like it's working everywhere else.
Yeah, and we haven't even had to take it out yet.
Yeah. Well, just a threat.
Sheriff, your guys are all trained on it, aren't they? The negative side to this is that sometimes the taser's not used properly. You hear it on the TV or newspaper occasionally where it's not, where they didn't follow procedure.
I would caution on the use of it in that it's not 100% effective. You need to be able to follow it up with physical force if necessary. You can't continually just use it. And you also need to be training in the use of physical force as well.
From what I read in here, the closer you are to that person, the less effective it is. Am I correct on that?
Well, distance has something to do with it, but I mean, if you don't make contact in 2 points, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And,
you can just pull one out of your pocket, I'll give.
One tool of many that you need to be able to use.
No, I always wanted somebody to take me so I could feel it.
But they got training.
Well, I got a pacemaker now.
Can you pop it?
He has a pacemaker now, Sheriff, he can't do it now.
Can't do it no more.
Thank you. Dorcas, rest of your report.
Okay, so today we have a total of 151 inmates. We have 5 in Hardin County. We don't have any on home incarceration. We have 45 state inmates. We have 2 serving weekends. They're out of district. And then we have 1 that's out somewhere else to court. So we have an in-house total of 143. I have the full-time cook opening there at the jail. My other cook, she's left and going to school for a nurse. But I have Tina Dobbs, who is a part-time deputy that wants the position, so I'd like to move her from part-time to full-time cook.
Okay. Need a motion to do that?
I need a motion to approve.
Basically, not creating a new position, but moving somebody up from part-time to full-time. Motion to approve by Keith Metcalf. Is there a second? by Jeff Lear. All approved, say aye. Disapprove? Motion will carry.
Hey, that's all I have, other than we got a surprise inspection Monday. I don't have to report back yet.
I haven't seen it yet. No copies of it. Okay, recreation report.
As we discussed earlier, my drag showed up Thursday. It's a really nice machine. I appreciate y'all letting me get it. It's working out great. Did some landscaping last week out at the park. It was good. Football starts this weekend. Their opening ceremonies on Sunday. So the park will be packed with soccer.
Soccer and football.
Going on. But besides that, normal business.
Thank you.
Well, I want to compliment the little referee that did my grandson's soccer game.
The little sidewalk.
He was so patient. He explained to the kids. It was really something to watch.
Can't think of his first name, but
It was Keith Sidebottom's son. I complimented Keith. I said, Keith, I don't know who that little boy is, but I'll tell you what, he's a professional at what he did. Keith said, I'll tell him on the way home. And then that's when I knew it was his boy. Yeah. But he did an
But you like to hear a good
exceptional
story.
job.
That's how kids learn. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Good job. Next would be road department report, Love Ridge Road.
Yeah, we have a request on Love Ridge Road. If you guys remember, Love Ridge kind of got cut when they did the new bypass. And there's one particular owner that owns the last section. Jerry and I have discussed this. I don't know if you guys want to see how this comes out. There's Love Ridge, and it used to go like this. Now it turned and went this way. This one particular gentleman owns everything with the exception of the first 150 feet or so. He wants to close this back section of Love Ridge and leave that first 150 feet. The reason first 150 feet, there's another property owner. And so I am perfectly okay with that. We have a KRS that we got to go by, 178-070, on how we discontinue a road. We got public notice it as far as posting it. Jerry, myself, and two people that you guys appoint go out and look at it, make sure we're okay with it, then we'll give you guys a report when there is a procedure.
Primarily to make sure you're not going to inconvenience or cause harm to somebody's property.
Yes, that's the best one to look at, Sam.
Nobody else's property adjoins it but that one person.
Correct, and I've talked with Jan about it. You know, he owns this, all the lots with the exception of this very little first one right here that comes to a finger. Now, what this particular gentleman backed himself into, and he is okay with that, now it becomes a private road. So he's limited on future possibilities, what he can do with that property. I don't think that's a concern for this gentleman. He knows that, he's been told that.
Private road too, he's going to start being responsible for his share of it.
Sure, but the big part is he can't subdivide it the way
Well,
he
just
would.
one guy didn't is.
Yeah.
No, from right here on.
This is still be our road. And what I made him do is, part of the plat, is he deeded a cul-de-sac to us. So at what point in time we don't have issues with turnarounds, that we can go and build us a cul-de-sac. And actually, guys, we've not done any work on that section of the road forever, years.
Is it chipped or is it?
It's chip sealed,
Yeah, that's what I was
basically.
thinking.
Where's that will probably be putting it politely.
Cul-de-sac gonna go with that last property owner?
Correct. I'm making sure it touches everybody who's on.
What are you doing? Put a guardrail across it or?
We'll just put the cul-de-sac, and that's it.
That's all it is.
Now, what he does on his piece is,
Put a gate on.
the main issue, he wants to close it, to be honest with you, he doesn't want people back there. I mean, he's bought all that, and he's going to spend a lot of money, and he wants to close that section of the road.
And
Today,
we don't
started
think it's
the
got any
process.
adverse, but we've got to do the advertisement. We want to
There
bring
is a very specific.
So we would need 2 citizen members from that area.
Right.
Probably, I would generally think it would be somebody that lives in the general area up there. Brad,
Right.
we'll get a couple of names.
Jerry, that'd probably be best for you to come up.
Yeah, get a couple of names there that,
It says, shall appoint 2 viewers who have no vested interest in the discontinuance of the road, and who together with the county engineer shall review the road and report in writing what inconvenience would result, if any, from the discontinuance. Upon presentation of the report and other evidence, public meeting of the fiscal court, the court may discontinue the road.
And he does understand there will be no more county maintenance.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And it limits.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's not getting much, but I mean,
correct. Okay. So Jerry, get me a couple of names, we'll bring it back to the court. The court has to appoint those people. Does the judge or the court? I believe it's been a long time since I read that statute.
Is
fiscal court, I believe it's
The
a.
fiscal court
Yeah,
shall
so
appoint two.
we'll bring 2 names back to our next court meeting for you guys to appoint.
Matthew, you want a copy of this, or?
Okay. We've done several over the years. Sam, we did one in your district before you became magistrate out here where the old junkyard used to be, or Polly's.
I don't remember
We did
that.
Summers several years ago.
Summers Lane.
Summers Lane actually hadn't been that long ago on it.
Okay. Also, Brad, on the agenda, and I put this on here for informational purposes only, UPS has notified the county that they are going to, under a new state law that was passed in 2017, I think I put a copy in your mailbox, media. A law was passed that allowed delivery people to use carts, for lack of a better term, upgraded golf carts to deliver packages within, on a road that's 35 miles per hour or less. We have no say-so in that. Sam?
I disagree.
But that's okay. I'll let you take it up with the county attorney.
Yeah.
But now there's a law that says we can't allow golf carts, another separate law in subdivisions, we discussed that a few years ago, that we could allow, say, Maywood, Woodlawn Springs, to have golf carts within their development, but it requires a lot of mechanics that the county did not want to participate in. Number one, got to have a sheriff inspection, got to have stickers, and some other things involved there. We don't want to get into that business.
I do know they did it in Welton last year and never heard a single complaint.
Yeah.
It worked well.
So they did with that.
They did what? It won't.
They use a golf cart, delivered packages, because they got such a volume at Christmas.
It's only going to be at a high peak.
It's only
season.
Christmas at that time of.
I'm just notifying you guys, if you see golf carts, people complain about it.
Right. Never had a complaint.
I'm just,
How come they got a picture of what it looks like?
Well, you
I just think it's
probably
wrong.
forgot what a golf cart looks like.
It's not gonna be a regular golf cart. A regular golf
Oh, no.
cart can't pull a trailer. So it's gonna be
Well, the state
golf
law.
cart look-alike or.
It can says, if you
regular
read
golf
back
cart.
here, it can be any
think-
off-road vehicle.
And it says right here, Judge, too, you said they didn't have to be licensed. It says right here, the golf cart's operated by UPS employees.
golf carts don't
Shall
have
be
a license.
licensed.
do they?
Will be
Back up.
licensed.
They are in their training.
Golf carts don't have a license on the tag on the back of them. That's what
How
I'm
come it
referring
says it right
There are
there?
some vehicles, slow-moving vehicles that do, and it may reach that,
to. May reach that. It depends on the horsepower and probably, doesn't it?
that and the speed and all that.
It says it right there. Will be licensed.
Golf carts don't have to be licensed, what I said. I believe I said that. You want to take it up with
Yes.
Senator Higdon?
Yes.
Chad McCoy? You go right
I
ahead.
wanna go first.
I got more important things to fight. Brad, rest your report.
All right.
I keep winning today.
We've completed bush hogging in District 1, 3, and 4, 3 rounds. We're halfway through District 5, then going over in District 2. Hopefully this, we'll have to make a decision at some point in time when we're going to cut this off. We're not running a boom mower because we're hot patching. You guys know that. When we get to that point, we just got to shut it down. It is what it is. Grader crew, we finished up the job on Hardin Leslie Road. Barnett's seen it. It turned out to be a great project. We had a guy, it was a similar situation. They were deeding a farm off, and I got them to give us a cul-de-sac. If I'm going to build a cul-de-sac, we have to have sight distance. It was right at where the hump was, so we lowered the hump. Turned out to be a pretty good job, I think. Hot patching, we've done Hutchins Court, J.R. Ballard, Edwin and Lytle Cecil, R.L. Greer. Today's rain got us, but we were going to get Sullivan and Ashford. We'll get back on it tomorrow when the rain gets off of us. Complete some dish work on Keith Niles Road, burnt, knew about that. Some cross drains on Murphy Lane Powder Shop. T-Hahn, some entrances on Powder Shop, Old Brent, South Forest Roads, and that subdivision. We've got 2 subdivisions that's due for paving. One has been completely approved and released, which is Tony Higgins off of Presley. The other one we're still working with, and hopefully this week we'll proof-roll again the DGA and see where it goes.
It's probably terrible after it covered back up and flooded it.
We'll have to see.
Pond, didn't it?
Yeah.
Not good.
Paving, you guys have seen some come through. Jeff, they finally got your last year's done from Creel, Grisby, and Spalding. You guys have seen them come through on Patton. Keith knows about that. We got one issue we got to address on Patton. Tom Greer is done as well. So they're just
slowly getting in. I have picked a road for the other three. If they get some time, at least get one of those roads for you guys before the fall season hits. Murphy for you, King for you, and Walnut Creek if they're that close, and Hubbard's for you.
No, I was on Bluegrass County yesterday, and I noticed that they had one lane completely blacktop. They gotta do the other, the other side of the other lane of it.
They're doing what's called ultra thin.
Oh, that's right. Where'd you start?
It's called ultra thin paving.
Yeah, it's not real thick.
It's 3/4 of an inch, that's what it is.
They're stopping right here at the bridge before you get to where the old, you remember, where the old toll booths used to be?
Yes.
They're stopping just short, right there's a bridge about a few thousand feet before you get to that.
That was the section they went in last year and did the crack.
So, that did, that's gonna help a lot, I bet. That's why they
This
did.
is just capping it off.
Capping it off.
Correct, this would be what you would call phase 2 of that
Yeah.
process. If you don't go over and get something on top of it, it'll.
That spider web almost make you drunk if you, you try to follow it. Other states have done that for years and years. I think it's a good fix.
Good on 150.
Anything else, Brad?
Oh, that's the worst road in the state.
Okay, we'll go on then to landfill solid waste report, garbage truck bids.
All right,
Since
did you
you're
guys
done
get
today.
the summary on that?
Yes.
I did actually do talk with John Greenwood this morning. We discussed the bids. The summary, as you guys see, Kentucky Truck Sales is the apparent low bidder with 2018 Freightliner. It's a new wave box. We've got some of those, so we're familiar with those. They're fine. His base bid, this is what I'll explain to you. His base bid is $159,366. Within our specifications, we always require warranties of some sort, either on the transmission or engine, or both. His bid, way he bid it, which is, and I've talked to the gentleman, but we did have it clarified. For the transmission, for unlimited coverage for 5 years is what we always do. You gotta add 1,010 to this guy's bid. He just broke it down for us. And then for the engine warranty that we typically require, it's $2,600 additional. So that would make his base bid $162,976. 162.
Still be the lowest.
Still be the low bid.
Still under budget, right on target.
Correct. So John and I discussed this morning. He called me where he was at. He said he did review them and he's fine with that, with the particular warranties on it. That gives us 5 years on both, unlimited mileage on the transmission. The engine, we get 150,000 miles. And I discussed that with Eddie Powell. He said typically anywhere between 25 to 30,000 miles a year is what we put on a garbage truck. So that hits right in that range. He said don't get the 200,000 mile warranty is an additional $900. He said we don't put 40,000 miles on a truck. We just don't. So, right. So, this is the same company we bought from in the past, guys. This is the same one that came from last time.
What type engine?
It'll be a Cummins.
Cummins?
Entertain a motion to approve and make an award to Kentucky Truck Sales at the $162,976.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Bernard Ice, second by Jeff Lear. Any further discussion? All approved, say aye. Disapprove? The motion will carry.
John, I wanted to make sure, I did tell the news media, we are 1 day behind all this week for garbage collection. Same schedule we always run. So we will be working on Saturday to pick up Friday's garbage, so.
And this truck will have the kicker installed when we get it, correct?
Tipper.
The tipper on the back.
That is
yes.
correct. We've gone with that, and I think it's been a good idea.
I did too. I watched them work it. I thought
It doesn't solve all the problems.
Right, but it definitely helped.
It's a,
Now, we need to educate our constituents on that because that tipper doesn't operate good on those blue barrels.
no.
180 is what we budgeted. The only, the Sam refers to a tipper, it's just a mechanical gadget, for lack of better words, on the back where you roll these big containers you buy from Lowe's and Walmart. They're 100 gallons almost now. Key way to tell if yours is going to work is it's got a metal bar right in the middle of it. Yeah, that's what it grabs hold of and flips it. Blue barrels do not count. They do not work. Drill holes in the bottom of them, do something, because those are terrible. Or bag your garbage up, because we will grab the bags out of that. But blue barrels don't work on those. So.
Okay, thank you, Brad.
Yes, sir.
Okay, magistrates, any old or new business you want to bring up today? Anybody else have anything you want to bring up today? Sheriff, you got anything? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion been made by Jerry Hahn, second by Sam Hutchins. All approved, say aye. Aye. That's a slow. Disapprove.
I still want to talk.